following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Sitting down and designing, where every man in a thinking, what are we gonna be wearing? Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC, you can't trust me, big up the girls inside the party. Let's get down to crazy Jimmy, big up myself and known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
Bitch, I'm your wanna be, Jimmy Star, new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Stars.
Hey ho, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, bringing you the good times in music, fashion, pop culture, and entertainment. Hope everybody had a great weekend and a great Labor Day. And now it's show day. Hello. Before we get started, let me introduce my cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell, and Astro.
Astro's, he loves to be on TV, but today he's not in the mood.
Yeah.
Today he just wants to be rubbed.
Actually, that's what he really wants most of the day.
This dog, if you rub him, he'll lay there forever. Right, Astro? Say hello to everybody. Hello.
Hi.
It's me, Astro.
He licks his daddy.
Look, it's me, Astro. I'm on television. Hello, everybody. It's Astro on television.
So I hope everybody's doing good. We have a fun show for you guys today. We have a different kind of guest today. Our first guest is going to be Charlotte Reed, and she is a radio host, and she hosts the Pet Buzz. So she's basically a pet trendologist. Something we've never had before. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And our second guests are Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda. Summer Helene is a talk show host, and she works in Hollywood. And Bear Fiorda is an MMA fighter, and they're a couple, and we met them here in Palm Springs, and they're really cool. And I did their show the other day, so it was a lot of fun.
How come I didn't do that show?
I don't know.
They didn't ask. I'm funnier than you. You're boring.
I know, but like they were talking about like
business.
They were talking about popular topics with influencers, and you don't know who any are.
I don't know popular influencers.
You don't know any popular influencers.
I know everybody you know.
No, you don't. You don't know who they are. Like you don't, because you're not in social media a lot, so you don't follow them. Like so, you don't know who they are. And we were talking and trashing influencers. Basically, it was fun. Anyway, you guys can go to...
Listen. Watch. A little Restylane. All right? Watch what it does.
Hey, Sylvia.
See these crappy lines? Watch. Astro, it's just a minute. I'm doing something. Watch a little bit of Restylane here. Look at that. Years came off. So when I get to New York, there's this broad on Long Island that came on our show. And she shot up, what's her name?
Eileen.
No, not Eileen.
Oh, no, Wendy Stewart.
She shot up Wendy Stewart's face on our show. And she said, when you come to New York, I'd love to do your face. So what do you think, folks? A little here and a little there makes a big...
So now you have to figure out a way to describe that to the people who are listening but can't see it.
Okay, people who are listening, why don't you watch our show? Anyway, I'm putting a finger on each cheekbone and tapping it gently, and that's what the filler would do. And it gets rid of those ugly puppet lines that make you look 100.
Also,
nobody really cares, but I just figured I'd tell everybody.
I also want to tell everybody, listen.
So when you see me looking wonderful and young, you're going to think I had a facelift.
You guys, there's two ways you can watch the show right now. You can either go to W4CY.com. It's playing live, and if you click the YouTube thing, it'll bring you to YouTube where the chat room is. Otherwise, you can just go into Google and go into YouTube and type in celebrity interviews from the world of entertainment with host Jimmy Star and Ron Russell 090623, and you can find us, and that way you can see us.
That fast you went. I don't think anybody knows what the fuck
they know what they're doing because they know how to get there. So
anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did, because you took over.
No, I didn't take over, but you want people to watch. And,
oh, yeah. You can watch us on your cell phone. So there's no excuse. You don't need a computer. No matter where you are, just tune into us on your cell phone. And we're very little on your cell phone. So maybe I won't need so much Restylane or Botox.
That's hilarious.
As I like my finger to my cheek again. I really like the way that looks. Look, one side looks young, one side looks old. Great.
I think it looks great. So hope everybody's
I'm going to
good.
have my face shut up when I get to Long Island. And what's her name? The girl that does it. She's fabulous. She did a great.
Rosa, I think her name was Rosa.
Rosa was her name. Rosa on Long Island. She did a wonderful job on Wendy. Right, Astro?
It's
Astro
like licking all over the place.
kissing me all over, my little baby.
So
We have a lady coming on that's going to talk about dogs, and I'm going to tell them about you. And you're peeing all the time. These little mutts, they pee all over. He loves to pee on the dining room chair leg, which drives me crazy. Because then I have to wash the leg, sterilize the floor, and I put mouthwash on the rag when I wash, where he was, this way, because they don't like the smell of mouthwash.
We can ask.
I'm going to ask her if that's true.
Anyway, okay, so let's get our commercials out of the way. So first of all, we want to thank everybody for tuning in every week. We have a lot of fun, lots of fun shows, and we appreciate everybody's support. You can hear us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, TuneIn, Pandora, Amazon Prime. We want to say hello because B. Claudia just joined us in the chat room.
Oh, yeah, B. Claudia, you took that nice picture that we use of Astro and myself and Jimmy, but you can't really see my face. And Astro, you can't really tell what he looks like. So we're going to pull it down, and maybe you'll give me
No, I'm not going to pull it down. That's just for a 1 week thing. Well, he wants a better picture of him and Astro.
Yeah, so I'm kindly asking you, could you do a better one?
Let me know when you can take a picture, and
I'll put him next to my face rather than
in front
covering
of your
my
face. So, B, let me know in the chat room if you could take a picture, and I'll do it for us. And I want to thank you for you and Dawn both, who Dawn just joined us here. Hey, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Thank you guys for all my Facebook stuff today, because you guys are the best.
Listen to me. Orange picker.
Yes.
Lemon picker. Man who works the fields of Florida picking lemons.
Who's that?
Dawn is pronounced Dawn, not Don. Don is a man, like Don Amici or Don Jose.
Dawn.
Dawn. Look at the mouth. Dawn.
Dawn Hinton.
Dawn, because there's a W there. Pronounce the W. Dawn.
So thanks, B, for the flyer post that you did. I appreciate it so much, and so does Ron and Dawn. And Dawn, thank you both for you and B both for standing up for me in my Facebook battle. So I appreciate it so much.
Why were they standing up for you?
Just because I had a dumbass guy on Facebook.
Why didn't you tell me? I would have fixed his ass.
Oh, he blocked me, so it's fine.
Oh wait, I'll block. What did he write?
He just wrote. He asked me to contribute to one of his campaigns. And I told him I don't do that, and then he got nasty with me, and so I posted it on Facebook. That I didn't mention his name, but then he mentioned his own name and came out. On the post an idiot. And hundreds of people have come to my defense.
When you ask for money, you have to be nice. I mean, I did that. Listen, I founded the Have a Heart Foundation is mine. I designed it, founded it, and ran it for years. And we did drag shows of all famous drag queens impersonating famous performers. I, of course, performed as Jane Russell all the time. And we made tons of money for AMFAR and also for the Elizabeth Taylor Foundation for AIDS Research.
Okay, hang on. We're going to interrupt you. Dawn, because she's ready for you to hold the dog up. She's going to take a picture.
So
you guys,
we're on.
B. Claudia, the fabulous wonderfulness of B. Claudia is going to do a new picture.
Astro, don't be difficult.
Again, you're covering your face, though, and that's what you didn't like. Astro, it's still covering your face. Hold him to the side.
Now he's in the back of the truck.
Hold him down some.
I can't hold him down.
Want me to hold him up in front of you?
No, he's good. Take a picture. Go.
Okay, go, B. Go. Hey, Astro, yay!
That's enough. We did it. Thank you, B, very much for that.
Hey, how we might have to do it again. I'm not sure. Okay, now hold Astro up. I got it. Hey, and Hub Reynolds Jr. just joined us too into the chat. What's up, Hub? So you guys are going to have a lot of fun today, and I know a lot of you guys are pet lovers. I know Hub is, and I know Dawn is for sure. And we're going to have a really cool guest coming on.
What were we saying when you so rudely interrupted me?
Have a Heart. You had to Have a Heart Foundation.
Yeah, and when listen, I knew Elizabeth Taylor from Amphar and from Haverhart. And Elizabeth Taylor was always very kind when she asked for a couple of $1 million from her friends. It's a lot of money. She'd say, give me whatever you can, and I know you could maybe give me $1 million. She used to do that. And guess what? She got the money. But you don't bite the hand that feeds you ever, because it doesn't look good. Now, if, let's say, Rock Hudson, her best friend, wouldn't give her the money that he gave her for her foundation, do you think for 1 minute she's going to badmouth him? She'd be an idiot to do that. So the person that did this to Jimmy was a total moron and should not be in the fundraising business. He should go be an asshole that he is and fart and shit, because that's all he's good for.
Well, he
he
claims that he's the nephew of Marilyn Monroe. Which
Marilyn Monroe's nephew. He's probably a demented drag queen that thinks he's a woman inside, and he's Marilyn Monroe and every other trendy shit that's going on.
And listen, everybody, Hollywood works in a lot of different ways, and I understand everybody raises money however, and if you crowdfund and that's how you make your movies, that's fine. But Ron and I, we don't pay to play. If we're in a movie, we got paid. If we produce a movie, we got paid. We get paid or we don't work.
That's our job.
That's how we pay our light bill.
I mean, I don't understand how people think that we're free. No one is free in our business. This is our job. This is our livelihood.
They want us to pay them. He wanted me to pay for a role, or pay to get a producer credit, or pay to get something.
Yeah, and I would have paid him for a head job too. I mean, really and truly, these people are insane. One time, a guy said to me, "Ron, we want you in a movie. Give us $10,000, and you get to meet what's his name, who I know already, who was a good friend of mine, Tom Sizemore." Poor Tom. Rest in peace, Tom. But I knew Tom for years. And he said, you get to meet Tom Sizemore. I said, schmuck, I was Jane Russell's best friend. You're going to throw names at me? Don't bother. You're wasting your time.
So our first guest is here in a second. Before we do it, before we have her come on, I want to do my trailer, you guys. So you guys, I want my movie to stay on Tubi. It's called Purgatorium. Please watch the movie. Leave reviews, check it out. Here's the trailer for it. It's free on Tubi, and when we come back, we will be with our guest, Charlotte Reed. Here it goes, everybody. Purgatorium.
So what is this double?
I'm stuck in here.
Who put you up to this?
No one did, sir.
I gave it to you in writing, Bart. In black and white.
I really don't want to hurt you, man.
Then don't. Evil is with us. A wise man once said, life is like a stream. If you're doing and not doing, it does not stop.
Stay up there!
The funny thing about streams, though, once it's off course, you can never change it back.
So check out my movie Purgatorium, and why am I bent over? Check out my movie Purgatorium. It's on Tubi now. All right, now what we're gonna do? Hold on. Somehow the YouTube jumped up there. That was weird. Sorry about that. All right, everybody, say something, Charlotte. Let's make sure we can hear you.
Meow! Bark, bark! How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Let me do my good introduction then. All right,
wait. She has to meet.
Well, you're going to meet him in a minute.
I know, but I wanted to meet Astro. Say hi to Charlotte, Astro.
Hey, Astro. Astro, meet Churchill.
Oh, Churchill!
Churchill. Look at that.
That's so cute. All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, pet trendologist and host of the nationally syndicated radio show and podcast, The Pet Buzz, Charlotte Reed. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. You guys are great. I love the movie, by the way. I got to watch a little piece of the trailer. How fun is that?
Yes,
it's a really weird movie. I don't care. I'm in them all the time, and I hate them because they're bloody.
That one's not bloody.
No, that's not
It's a
bloody.
psychological thriller.
Yeah, that one's weird, and I like weird Hitchcockian better than bloody. Do you like bloody chop 'em up slasher movies?
Not really. My boyfriend does, and sometimes I'm forced to watch them. But he really likes true crime.
I'm forced to watch them because I'm in the goddamn things. But and I hate.
Hang on, she doesn't know who you are. We got to introduce you.
Oh, she doesn't know who I am.
No, I didn't introduce you yet. So this is my cool, outrageous man about town co-host Ron Russell. Say hi.
Hi, Ron.
Now we're formally introduced.
And now we have a chat room starting to fill up with people. So please say hi to everybody in the chat room because they've got some questions.
Hi, everybody in the chat room. Ask me anything. I might tell you the answer depending on how personal it gets.
Charlotte, if I were not an actor, I would do what you're doing. I envy you. I'm jealous. I wish I could work with animals, cats and dogs. You have to have a lot of patience and a lot of love. And I'm sure you have patience and love, right?
I have lots of patience and lots of love. Not as much sometimes for the clients because to get on board. But, the funny thing is a lot of people love animals so much and they think they can work with animals, and they can. They have all sorts of great talent. But really, the trick is you have to be able to work with the people, too. And that's really key.
That's the hard
You're
part.
never going to receive the results that you want unless the people are trained as well.
So we have 3 rescue dogs. We have 3. We love dogs.
Yeah, and you can't really tell. We had a friend of ours who had a dog that loved to bite our heels when we walked into the house. And as we would be walking through the house, the dog would be snipping at our heels. And the person never said to the dog to stop. And I said to her one day, I said, "Can you get your friggin' dog off my foot? Because he's biting my ankle." She got so offended, like I spoke to her child that way. We have to remember they are animals. Even though we love them as our children, they're still animals. And we have to be the ones to train them. They don't train themselves. Am I correct?
Absolutely right. And also, what I would probably want to know, if you knew it, what kind of dog it was, because obviously certain dog breeds have a corgi.
His name was Sherlock, and he was a basset hound and a beauty. A beautiful basset hound called Sherlock.
No, a lot of times people don't realize, they look at a breed and they say, "Oh, that breed is so beautiful. I want that breed." But they really don't really learn the characteristics of that breed. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you if it was a corgi or a herding breed, because they instinctively will nip at heels to kind of herd them into a space. So they might not think they're hurting you, but the owner should have worked with a trainer to get the dog from stop to nipping at the heels. I just actually read a story the other day. It was out of Michigan. They wrote to an advice columnist, and they said it was 2 sisters. They were at a dinner party, and the host had some friends visiting, and they brought this really bad behaved dog. And one of the things the dog did to all the guests was try to hump the guests. So, they tried to put up with it for a period of time, but it just got to be ridiculous. So they asked the guest if they could put the dog in another room so they can enjoy each other's company. And she was like, "What are you doing? You're talking to my child this way. I can't. And then they asked the host, and the host got really mad, and both sisters left. And, now they don't socialize with the host at all. She never calls them. She'll never invite them to another dinner party. And so I talked about it on my show, and I said, it's a really good idea if you're having someone come to your house and bringing a dog, go over the rules, especially if not everyone loves dogs. I mean, I have friends who don't love dogs, who don't love cats, and I respect that decision. I don't necessarily understand it because I'm a big pet lover, but you want to treat guests who come to your home, nicely. And if a dog is bothering a guest, well, it's your responsibility as the host to kind of pull the owners aside and say, "Look, I have friends here too. Can you please, can you leave the dog in the room that you're sleeping in? Or did you bring a crate?" Or something like that. Because you don't want to offend people. You have to realize the dog or cat is an extension of yourself. So why do you want to upset people? You're at a party to have a good time, not to disturb everyone's harmony and peace.
Right. We had,
or in your case, your heels.
We had a good friend that we are no longer friends with, and she's famous. Her name is Sue Wong, and she's the designer of women's clothing. And we were at her home in Malibu, and I brought Astro because Jimmy and I, we were on our way up to visit friends in Malibu. So we stopped at Sue's with Astro. And I said, this is my little boy. And she looked at me, she said, oh, you know, in China, we eat them. And I thought my heart would break. No, I wanted to scream and punch her or something. No, I didn't know what to think. The thought of anyone hurting, killing, and eating my dog was beyond my thinking. And I carry that with me today. And I'm sorry I used her name, but deservingly so, because it was a cruel thing to say to me, and I've never gotten over it. Never. Jimmy knows that.
We take the dog.
I don't find humor in that. If there was any kind of humor in eating dogs, I don't find it funny. Period.
I think I think it's horrible. And, you know, hey, I hate to say it, but she lives in America. And here in America, we love dogs. We don't eat them. We try not to treat them badly.
Yes.
But no, I agree. That was a horrible thing to say.
But when she was a child in China, she ate rats. Her grandmother used to kill the rats and they'd eat them. And that she's put in her book and made very public. So I think that they eat anything that moves. So I wanted to say to her, why don't you get yourself a boyfriend and let him?
I can only imagine where that next thought would go. We're going to keep this clean. No, I feel you, and I think it was a really obnoxious thing to say to you because she knows that you guys love your pets. You love Astro and your two other breeds of dog. And you know what? I get it. That's what back then people did in China. I mean, the movement in China for dogs it's in the process of trying to change, especially with young people, especially with the middle class. A lot of people have pets as dogs, but people are really fighting. For example, in June, they have that Yulin Dog Festival, and where they do eat dogs. And a lot of the dogs are stolen. A lot of American groups have gone there and have brought dogs back and also tried to give dog farmers money to change their source of income. So there was one story I read where one group from the United States helped this guy transition into growing blueberries.
No, I think that's, first of all, I think that Yulin thing is discussed. Somebody in the chat room wrote about it. It's like the worst thing ever. And she has a question for you that we'll use in a minute. But we have 3 dogs, but Astro goes with us to the grocery store. Astro goes everywhere.
Listen, I've had
it's like his son.
Listen, I'm 83 years old. I've had dogs since 4 years old. So that's a lot of dogs I've had over the years that I've loved to death, and they've, of course, died from old age. And I never liked really little dogs. I've always had big dogs, St. Bernards and Mastiffs, you know. So Jimmy went and bought this little dog that he thought would be his.
I rescued it. All our dogs are rescues.
Yeah, but the dog ignores him and adores me. He only is with me. He lives for me. He sleeps every night curled under my chin. And when I kiss him, he goes, So this dog took my heart. I have never loved any of my dogs like I love my Astro. So that, I think, was the most horrible thing that has ever been said to me.
So our other 2 dogs, we also have an old English Sheepdog Terrier mix. She's about 30 pounds.
She will nip at your feet.
Yeah, she nips at your feet. She's a herding dog.
She's a herder.
We know that, so we're careful with her. And her name is Brandy, and she's about 35 pounds. And then we have a Fila Brazilian Mastiff.
There's your big dog.
That's our big dog, Shazam. Mm-hmm. And he right now lives with Ron's daughters. But we love rescues, and I watch. I'm a big social media person, and I follow the dodo everywhere to watch like the animals, and it kills me when people are mean to them. But I love to see the dodo people, you know, helping them, you know, and getting them homes and stuff like that. Sure. Do you know what the dodo is? You know what that is?
Yes, of course I know what the dodo is. And you know what they do now? They have dodo wear for your dogs.
Oh, you see, I would love that.
I'm going to have to send you a dodo thing. We'll have to get you a dodo sweatshirt.
Yes.
What?
I have like 1.5 million followers.
I have to say something good about 2 people that we're friends with who absolutely love their dogs like I do. One is Sherry Belafonte. She's got about 7, and they are her children. and she will kill you if you go anywhere near them to harm them. And the other one is Ron Moss. His wife, Devin, they have their little boy, like my little boy, and it was just on Facebook. Somebody sent a tuxedo with a bow tie, and they put it on. They put it on. His name is Prince. So I wrote in Facebook to Devin. I said, "Oh, so Cary Grant."
And Prince has his own Instagram. Prince has his own Instagram page. He's literally got like 50 or 60,000 followers because he goes all over the world. They're famous, and he goes all over the world. So I'm not the only nut out there with dogs. We have so many friends that are fanatical. I mean, what am I talking about? Sean Kanan, his wife Michelle. Oh yeah, she takes her dog everywhere. They have a baby carriage because it's a bulldog who had a fight with somebody else's dog, and his eyeballs came out, so he went blind. So Michelle has him in a baby carriage, and if we're on the set together, she brings that dog on the set all everywhere over. To the restaurants we go out to eat, and the baby dogs in the baby carriage next to us. So many celebrities out there. And regular people. And regular people that adore their dogs. So we're going to make up for that one person who was a nut. So I want to brag for you a little real quick. So you guys, Charlotte, first of all, you can follow her on Instagram. She's at The Pet Buzz. And basically, she's the expert on the what's new for pets and their people. She's a leading pet trend and lifestyle expert, which I didn't even know that existed for dogs, so I'm fascinated by it. She's been on Better TV, CNN, Comedy Central, Fox and Friends, Nate Berkus, The View, Steve Harvey, The Today Show, VH1, The Realist Report. She just wrapped up a bunch of segments at the Super Zoo in Las Vegas, which I don't know what that is, but we're going to find out in a little bit. And she's also done stories for the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Yahoo, Rover.com, Newsweek, PetMD, Great Pet Care, and she's a contributor to Catster and Dogster, which I had to look them up. I've never heard of them before. And she's a blogger for NBC's PetSide.com and Pet360.com. So you're like, wow. How did you like just wake up one day and said, gee, I'm going to be like the leading expert on like the trendy things to do with your dog?
Well, let's see. Well, there are two things happened. One, I got sick of working. I went to Fordham Law School, and after law school, I went to go work at a Wall Street bank. I did regulatory work. Which I can tell you is not creative. So after dealing with hyped up, coked up, blue-steeled traders, and I would tell them, like, I'm sorry, you can't make $5 million on this trade. You can only make 3. You have to restructure it. I can't. Like, I think after the second time someone had their fist almost in my face, I was like, I was done. So I started a pet care business. And the funny thing is, how I got started is kind of a New York story. I came home sick one day from the bank I worked at Wall Street, and I heard music as I was descending the stairs in my loft building. And when I opened the door, the music was playing really loud. It was back in the day. It was Madonna and the voguing. And I opened the door, and the dogs, it was a duplex. So I saw to the left was my bedroom, and my 2 Cocker Spaniels, Katie and Kidder, were sitting on the bed, looking over the banister down into the main part, the living room, dining room. And there, all of a sudden, out came dancing my dog walker. And this is what I tell everyone. This is the punchline of the story. I said, he looked better in the bespoke outfit than I did. I was going to this. I had my aunt had sent me, this was before Philip Tracy was super famous. My aunt had sent me a bespoke hat to go with the outfit. And the suit came, but the hat didn't come. There were some moderations that had to be done to it. And there he was wearing my outfit, dancing around the apartment, looking in the mirror. And I kept it, I tried to keep it as clean as possible. I said, I think it's time for you to go. If I see you on the street, don't speak to me. And by the way, I'm going to leave. Take the friggin' clothes with you. I never want to see you wear the clothes again, and leave your address. I'll mail you a check. And I did, in fact, send him the check because the dogs did like him. But I had noticed something was askew for weeks. So probably, and the reason that story got to be known and got to be a New York story was at the time, Mark Malkin works for E! Entertainment. And Mark had got a dog on a whim. He got a dog named, I believe the dog's name was Kiddo. It was a Schnauzer. He bought it at the Christopher Street pet store, which still is around. I think they won't be in business much longer. And Sunday night, he panicked because he had to go to work, and he didn't know what to do with the dog. So he called her friend. It was a big dog lover. She said, ask the doorman, because this is New York, for a dog walker. There must be somebody in the building. So he did. And the story went on, started out with Mark and all of the trauma that this dog walker inflicted on him. And finally, the shrink said, Mark, either get rid of the dog and or the dog walker. And then as Mark started writing this story, he heard about all these other crazy New York stories. And he came upon me. And that story kind of catapulted me into another level. You know, I was the first really official dog walker for hotels in New York City. My first hotel was the Soho Grand. And then I went to the Mandarin and all these high end. Eventually, you know, I started doing television, which I love to talk about pets and products and give money saving tips and seasonal advice. And it started just bringing my career to another level. Once I quit my job, which I friggin' hated. I mean, you know, there's so many people who love, like, you know, they take the challenge, they spend the money, they go to law school, they get on the grind, and then they get to a point where it's just, they're just working all the time. They're not meeting any people. It's just, there's no creative outlet. So when I quit my job, I just kind of figured, what am I going to do? So I went to dog grooming school. Now I can tell you, and started this business. And now I have a family of like PhDs. We're kind of political on both sides. So my family used to go, what's that sound? Charlotte's law degree going down the toilet. Yeah, they finally stopped it when I had clients like Marvin Hamlish, Mandy Patinkin, and of course my beloved Barry Diller, who was always very good to me. I trained one of his dogs. He had many dogs in New York where he lived. So, I mean, Marvin Hamlish, since you guys are musical fans and have been around for a while. I mean, I've had so many great clients over the years. About 12 years ago, I needed a break. I stopped the dog walking. And I also had an outlet in the Hamptons. So we took care of dogs in the Hamptons as well. And I moved down to Florida, which I actually like. And I focus really on my radio, my TV, and my writing career. And I have a few other things I want to do.
Are you in Florida now?
I'm in Florida. I live in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. We just got over the hurricane-ish. I mean, not the Big Ben, but yeah. So
I grew up in Florida. I was born in Miami. I grew up in West Palm Beach. I went to high school in Jacksonville, college in Gainesville, and then I lived in Pompano and Boca and Fort Lauderdale. That's where I met him.
Do you think that's interesting?
Yes, I do.
Well, down here, he's a god because he's a true Florida boy. It's funny because I did a show not such a long time ago. I did KTLA in LA, and there was two hosts, and one was kind of like, you know, a little on this, like a little setback, you know. And when he found out I lived in Florida, he goes, oh, "You're from Florida? I'm from Land O'Lakes." And after that, or Lakeland, one of the two. After that, he was so nice, and I'm like excited to see them next week when I'm going to be on KTLA again. So anybody in LA, if you want to watch me, I'll be on at 11:42.
Did you give up your loft in New York?
No, I still have my apartment in New York.
Good.
It's sitting vacant. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. You know, it's funny. When I moved down here, every guy I knew, straight or gay, oh, can I rent your apartment? Music producers, this one, that one. I said no. I ended up letting one of my oldest friends. She rented it for about a year and a half, but I had some stipulations because she had a big German Shepherd who peed on the floor, and I had really nice carpets, a lot of Persians. I had a Royal Baccara on my dining room table. So you can imagine, I really didn't, I mean, as much as I love dogs, I have tile floors here. And in the wintertime, I put the carpets down, but, you know, my dogs are very well trained. I mean, I walk them. And I'll tell you the truth. You know how I know all my neighbors? It's because I have dogs. Nobody in my little neighborhood here, they don't walk their dogs. So, everybody knows me because I'm the dog lady.
Charlotte, can I tell you, I've lived in Florida for years, and you will become a vegetable in time because there's nothing to do in Florida but talk about aches and pains, hospitals, doctors, sunshine, and the swimming pool, and whatever else.
She's still working.
But wait a second. You need to keep that New York apartment to go back for 3 months to get revitalized, to get intelligent again, and to become a functioning human being. Because I had to get out of Florida because I was turning into an old man. being surrounded by old people. And I found it to be ridiculous. And I'm not an old man. I'm a very young man at 83. So be careful about that. You can fall into that tender trap.
Oh, I won't fall into that tender trap. I mean, one of the great things about being here now for me is that I like outdoor activities. And in New York, I mean, outdoor activities was like, walking to the subway, going to the opera, going to the ballet, going to a party, going to work.
For you. Oh, my heart broke for you. Oh,
no, I know.
Oh, I'm sick over this. I'm going to kill myself.
No, but now I kayak and I fish.
And theater and concerts and dinner in wonderful restaurants with fabulous people beautifully. I feel so bad.
I miss that.
I'm going to come here and pull your hair out of your head.
I got to tell you, honestly, I was really fortunate enough that I always liked cooking. I love cooking. So, and the restaurants here, I hate to say it, really suck. I mean, suck, S-H, like star T. Yeah. They're horrible. So I cook a lot. I mean, I have a nice kitchen, lots of La Crusade.
Corruption. The reason the restaurants are bad is because they cook everything for people with dentures.
No, I got to tell you the truth. Honestly, a lot of the restaurants in Sarasota, now there are a few good ones, but a lot of the restaurants you find cook okay, now I'm going to be a little fancy, but you can handle it. 1970s old French chanterelle, right? Remember chanterelle? They cook that old French stuff, and it's like they're serving duck with like fruit sauce. I mean, come on, guys, give me a break. Do you know what I mean? I mean, who wants that? I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh, and they're still serving escargot on menus. I was married to a chef. I have to tell you that. I mean, they're serving escargot. I mean, I love escargot, but I mean, come on, at a modern day restaurant. So it's a lot easier just to cook. I have a lot of cooking magazines. Oh, no, that's not one. But I have a lot of cooking magazines. So I like to cook. Like on Christmas, we make duck.
He would never.
I cook every night. I'm not a great.
I bet you do cook every night.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of restaurants because they don't use real olive oil. I say they use motor oil, and just so many substitute things they put in the food doesn't taste correct. They think that the redder the sauce and the more it burns your throat as you're eating it, the better it is. We're Northern Italian, so we have a combination of French and Northern Italian cuisine.
Sure.
We cook beautiful food. Unfortunately, California, the food stinks too. Palm Springs,
especially, there's no Chinese restaurants.
I mean, and you could drop dead. The restaurants here are outrageously expensive in Palm Springs, and the food is so inferior to the price of what you're paying. Now, Jimmy and I will be in New York, I think in October, if we're not doing a movie. I cannot wait to go to Brooklyn and go to an Italian restaurant that the mafia goes to. And that's where I'm going to have the best pasta in the world. Also, I know of a wonderful steakhouse, if it's still on 3rd Avenue, when I used to live there, up the road from where I lived, and I can't think of the name.
We're actually moving back to New York.
But the food in New York, I believe, is still fabulous.
Off of 3rd Avenue, it's either if you're mafia prone to that, you've got Sparks Steakhouse.
Who?
Sparks. Which is off of 47. Sparks is off of 40. That's where Giancambi was killed. I lived right out in front.
I lived on 75th and 3rd. So it was on the west side.
You said it was on 3rd Avenue. Okay.
On 3rd Avenue, and you go up a few blocks, and it had a wonderful garden in the back. You went in the front, and then you ate in the garden. I think it was a black and white motif, sort of. And it was a very famous restaurant.
Anyway, we'll let you know if it's there.
It used to be celebrity filled. I don't know anymore.
Okay.
I have a dog question for you, and this actually comes from the chat. Sure. So we have a supporter of the show. Her name's Dawn Hinton. Dawn.
That's good. You got it. You said it.
And
you know what? He also says the word horror.
Horror. How do you say horror? Like a horror movie?
Horror.
Horror movie.
Yeah, he says horror.
Horror.
So we had a guest on, and he said, "Oh, she's a very famous horror star." And I said, "Jimmy, the woman's going to think you call her a horror star."
So hang on. She has a question. So recently in June, her best friend Bullet was a corgi, died, and I think she had another dog that died before that. She said, "Is there any advice for how do you actually get over the loss of a dog?" Because
you get another one.
Wait, it's been. I'm not asking you. I'm asking you. Professional. It's been months, and she's still mourning the loss of the dog. And the dog's name was Bullet.
I can completely understand that because during COVID, I lost my 15-year-old English toy spaniel. I lost my 12-year-old Himalayan cat, and I also lost my golden retriever Hannah, who was 13. So I had a big loss, and there are times it's still hard for me. I love the dogs. I have 4 dogs now, 4 English toy spaniels. They look like Cavaliers. If you don't know what they look like, they just have snub noses. But it's really, really hard. There is an association of pet bereavement. She could go to that website, Association of Pet Bereavement, and she could check it out. And they can give you some tools on how to deal with certain things. Honey, I'm doing an interview. Okay. So that's one way to do it. Also, a lot of the local shelters have support groups, and that's another way to talk to a counselor. They have sometimes group settings that you can go to, and you can talk to other people about your feelings. And there are some really great books. Dawn, if you send me an email, it's char@charlottereed.com. I'll be more than happy to send you one of the great books that I have for pet bereavement.
Now, let me say something. I had Scooby. Scooby was a bull mastiff, one of the most wonderful dogs in the world, and I love Scooby like I love Astro. Scooby died, okay? I believe that Astro is Scooby's reincarnation, and Astro helped me get over Scooby because Scooby is still with me, and he lives inside of Astro. Their similarities in their things they do is uncanny. It's like this dog, when he saw me, he knew me, he never left me, and he began doing everything that Scooby did. When Scooby would lie in bed with me, he did the same thing with his head and the grunt. So do you believe in reincarnation in animals?
I do. I do. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's possible. I think that you have to be careful when you read the signs. Obviously, you were really close to your animals, so you see the signs. I think some people, and I'm going to say this, and I don't, it's very controversial, but some people love their dogs so much, and I'm saying people who, not only people who are wealthy, people who miss their dogs so much. Today, for $50,000, you can get your dog cloned. A lot of people have done it. I don't think it's for me, but some people want to bring that same experience back. They want the dog to be the same size, the same shape. They want the dog, they want to have a family member of that dog. And that's one way they handle that experience.
That's That's like some serious Pet Cemetery shit, though.
No, but you know why? To some people it matters. Listen, Astro will outlive me because I've asked my doctors, listen, I'm 83, what do you think I've got with my medical records? And they've all said a good 10 years, Ron. Well, 10 years from now, Astro will still be here, but I won't. So therefore, I'm happy because I won't feel the pain of losing him. Tell me I'm not neurotic.
No, but you know what? I don't think you're neurotic at all. I think, the nice thing is that even though you guys are really funny and have lively personalities, the things that you're saying about your dogs are what everybody go through. Whether you're super rich or super famous, or you are struggling every day like many Americans, these are common things that people feel because they love their dogs so much. And, we always say dogs are family members, but during COVID, they became super savers, lifesavers for a lot of people who are old, who are your age, who didn't have such a lively, busy, active lifestyle. They didn't have the show. They didn't know all the people. They didn't Zoom chat with their friends. So a lot of people worry about these issues that you're bringing up. And the people actually funny who I've heard this the most from, believe it or not, are bird people. Because in some cases, birds live 30 and 40 years. So that's why people, that's why people go and I hate to bring her up, Leona Helmsley. That's why people make plans and provisions for their dogs. There's one German heiress, I think she left her German Shepherd a nice big trust fund and then paid a housekeeper to live in the house with the dog until the rest of the life, and then with the bulk of what's left will go to the housekeeper for taking care of the dog. I mean, these kind of things happen all the time. People always want to incorporate estate planning for their pet into their wills, and this is par for the course these days. You know, and a lot of lawyers will. I mean, even if you go to the Association of Attorneys, the American Bar Association, you can put search in dog, and they'll come up with a lot of stuff for people to think about. So if you do have a lawyer, talk to one who's proficient with what to do in this type of situation.
My cousin Bertha had a poodle named Gypsy, and she was very much like Astro is to me. Well, when my cousin Bertha died, she said to me, no, this is not funny, so please don't laugh at this part.
I'll laugh now. Go ahead.
No, when my cousin Bertha, she knew she was dying. She said to me, no one will take care of Gypsy as I did. So, Ron, I trust you. And I want you to be certain that when I die, they will put Gypsy down, cremate her, and put her ashes in the coffin with me in a box. And when my cousin Bertha did, we followed her instructions. And Gypsy is now with Bertha forever. And it was a comforting thought for her not to leave her dog because she was afraid that it wouldn't be fed.
It was an old dog, too.
Yeah, it was old and mistreated. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up because I think there was a case in the Midwest about 2 years ago where a woman, she was older, died. She had a 2-year-old Shih Tzu, and she wanted the dog to be cremated. And I think Animal Legal Defense Fund or one of those organizations got involved because the dog was 2, and it eventually went to a good home. I don't know if I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could end a dog's life. I would want the dog to go on, and I would make sure that I had someone take care of it. I mean, I have provisions for if anything happens to me, the dogs will go to a temporary place. I mean, when I lived in New York, they went to my veterinarian's place until they could be rehomed to the place that I wanted to. The person who was going to be left to my dogs did not live in New York. So until they came, I wanted to make sure they went to a nice veterinarian. He was a good friend of mine. He still is, and he's in his 80s. He lives out in the Hamptons. And then from there, they would go on. My friend would come in and take the dogs. So that was for me.
We're moving to the Hamptons.
Oh, you are? Now, which swanky Hampton are you moving to? I don't think you'd be moving to West, and Quogue is too far from the action. So
no,
East Hampton?
Southampton. I won't give.
Moving to Southampton.
I can't give where, but we'll be in Southampton.
We're getting out of California. It's getting a little bit too difficult.
Oh, California's insane.
Oh, I have 2 things I want to say. First of all, when we got Astro, I've always been a little dog person, so I had a poodle named Star.
No, I'm sorry. Where did we move? We're moving to Southampton, not East Hampton. Southampton.
That's what you said.
Yeah, I said so.
Okay, so we went to this. So my dog Star, I had him for about 16 years, and he died. I love the dog to death. I love poodles. So we went to this thing, and it was called Poochella, and it was taking place at the same time as Coachella, which is the big music festival. Mm-hmm. And they had all these like dogs, and I said I wanted to go, and we went with a bunch of people. And Ron didn't like little dogs.
No, I didn't. Don't say I didn't like them.
You didn't then.
No, I never did.
Well, you didn't say you didn't like.
I just never favored
right,
them. I never disliked them. I mean, I love my cousin's dog, Gypsy.
So we found this one dog, and it was in somebody's hands, and they put it down. And I said, "Are you done looking at the dog?" And they said, "We think so." And so I picked the dog up, and immediately it was licking me. And I said, "This is the dog I want, Ron." I told Ron. He was like, okay, because the big dogs we got, he picked out. And I had to go get money because they didn't take credit cards. So I had to go to the bank. And in the 20 minutes it took me to go to the bank and get back, I lost the dog. The dog was like his dog. His middle name is Rocco, which is like some kind of like dog god.
Saint Rocco was the saint of Saint Rocco was the saint of dogs. If ever you see paintings of Saint Rocco, he always is caring for dogs. And also, the dogs licked his wound. He had a wound, St. Rocco, and the dogs licked his wound, which is something we must never let a dog do, is lick our wound.
Absolutely not.
Because they have more bacteria. Shazam and Brandy fought over a toy. And Shazam, the bull master, the big guy, had Brandy's head in his mouth, and he was squeezing down on her head to kill her. And I quickly put my hand in there to stop them, and I was cut across my wrist. Well, I didn't think anything of it. And when I went to the doctor, they said, had you waited another week, we would have amputated your wrist because of the bacteria.
Wow.
So I had surgery, and they removed all of the tissue that was bad. And I said, but I thought if a dog licks you, he heals you. No, they said. Their mouth has got the worst bacteria in it for wounds. So those of you out there watching or listening, if you think you're going to let your dog lick a wound, do not. It does not heal.
There you go.
We bring we bring these points up because we have, let me tell you something. There's 5 million people that watch this show all over the world. We made our 1 billion download.
No, 1.1 billion.
1.1 billion download. So what I just said is going to save a lot of people's lives, because out of all those 1 billion people, one person's bound to let a dog lick their wound.
Let me go back real quick. You guys, Charlotte.
Now, I'm going places when I talk. I don't talk off the wall. That's why I love what she does, because she helps people to understand their pet.
Absolutely. So I want to again, you guys can follow Charlotte on Instagram. It's the Pet Buzz.
Is it over?
No, we have a few more minutes. Are you on any other social media platforms?
Yeah, you can go to Facebook. You can go to Pet Trendologist. You can go to the Pet Buzz. Nobody does Twitter anymore, so yeah.
When do you do your? So how do people tune into your show? Your the Pet Buzz show. How do people find you?
So depending on where they are, they can go to the website. We're redesigning the website right now. You can also listen on SoundCloud. You can listen on Google Play. You can listen on Stitcher, iTunes. So a lot of people, today, listen, especially if you're living in LA, you're in your car for an hour. So you can always go and back and listen. This week's show, actually, we're talking about what's going on in Maui, how the dogs are recovering in Maui, and also we also have this world-renowned gal on the show, Dr. Mary Cable, and she's going to talk about the search and rescue, or the humane remains dogs, the cadaver dogs, which is totally amazing, how they're finding remains in that very black and white, ashy exterior. I mean, we've covered, it's funny, I was watching the news last night, and I was watching Cuomo last night, and, we cover we follow the news cycle. So, we're still in touch with people, our folks from East Palestine, who, right away after the trains exploded, animals, chickens, dogs, cats, all started having neurological symptoms. Some animals have died. Some animals are really sick. So, we try to present the news angle. For example, when Commander Bit, the 7th Secret Service agent, and I got to be honest with you, I'm sure there were more. The Bidens haven't had very much luck with any of their dogs. I mean, Major, Commander, and the other one. So, what do you do? I mean, having a dog, like you said, you guys have a very active lifestyle when you're also have a lot of friends who have dogs, and you know how to take care of them. Making decisions about your lifestyle. I mean, I remember this one girl called me up and she said, look, I want you to know this. She said, she said, I work in a strip bar in the Bronx, but I go to NYU. And I said, okay. I said, well, first of all, I'll be more than happy to talk to you. She was interested in using my pet care service. So I said, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. And I said, I think it would be a great idea, instead of calling, because I said, you probably come home from work in the morning and you probably sit at the kitchen table and count your money and put it in stacks. And she goes, did you ever work at a strip club or on the pole? I said, no, but I had a guy who actually owned a bunch of clubs in New York. And so when we used to go over there to take out the dogs sometimes, if somebody didn't work on the weekends, there was like 6 or 7, including Air Force Amy. I got to meet Air Force Amy. She's renowned all over the country, and other very well-known strippers. They'd be sitting around like having a slumber party in these nighties until they got up and they went to work about 12 o'clock. So I said, so it might be a good idea to tell people that you work at a Wall Street bank and you work on the night desk. You deal with foreign currency. And she goes, well, why should I tell them that? I said, the only reason I would tell them that is because you just confirmed that you come home and you leave all your money on the kitchen table. They count it again to make sure. And the next day when they wake up before they go to work, they usually go to the bank. So I said, you don't want anyone coming in while you're sleeping and grabbing a wad of your dough. So like I said, that was the greatest thing about owning a pet care service in New York, because you got to meet all kinds of people. I mean, I can only tell you how Barry Diller's maid goes to work, or Mandy Patinkin is a real germaphobe, or dealing with Stan O'Neill, who ran American Express, or actually Marvin Hamlish telling me that I had to meet his longtime housekeeper, who was his best friend, and she had to approve of anyone who worked for them because they were going to be seeing her, and that included his wife.
Okay, one more thing I want to say, maybe it will help people. Because it's a strike, we're not working, but as soon as the strike is over, I'm in a movie called Death House, and it's a major film. It'll be shot in Nevada, and it's a 4-week shoot. So I made sure that my contract said that Astro could come with me and, be there for 4 weeks. Well, in thinking about it, I said, no, that's the worst thing I could do, because I would be putting Astro in my trailer when I'm working. What if somebody opened the trailer door and Astro got out? I'm not protecting my dog by bringing my dog into an environment that he's never been in before, nor have I with the dog. So I think the safest thing to do is to leave Astro with my daughter. No matter how sad he gets and remorse and worried, I believe it's better than being on the set. What do you think?
I think that's a really good idea. I mean, and I know, depending on you're lucky you do have a daughter who will take care of your dog. So high snaps for her, and she must love you and the dog very, very much to do it. The only other thing I could suggest, if you did bring him, you could get an X pen. I don't know if he'll jump over the X pen. You can get an X pen and leave him in the X pen when you're not working. Or if there's a way to if you knew the measurements of your trailer, you could put a gate up so that he couldn't get over the gate. But if you do decide to take him, you have to leave a big note on your door that there's a dog in the trailer, and make sure that it's locked. And, every single time I had somebody work on my door, my front door, with the weather stripping, and sometimes you slam the door, it won't slam. So now every time, even if I go outside, I close the door. But I remember one day I ran to the store. I jumped in the car and ran 2 miles down the road to get a soda or something. I wanted a cold soda because we didn't have any ice here. I came home and the dogs were sitting on my front lawn.
Whoa!
I would have a heart attack.
I would have.
I literally almost had a heart attack. And I got to tell you, my boyfriend, every single time, he's like, I hate that you got to take that weather stripping off. Now, when I go out, I always lock the door. And Churchill is the trickiest. He wants to go everywhere I go, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. But I mean, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I mean, if you think that you're going to be alone and you want to hang out with the dog. I mean, also the other thing is Nevada is really dirty. It's really dusty. You're going to have to bathe him more. Do you know what I mean? And if he's older and he has respiratory or heart problems, breathing in that dusty air is not going to be good for him. So you're lucky you have a daughter. I'd probably leave him in LA with your daughter, and it'll be visiting with her brother for a while.
My daughter will, because Jimmy's producing this movie, so the both of us will be on set. Both my daughters will be at our house watching all the dogs. Now, Shazam is on his way out. We're waiting for Shazam to pass on. He's under doctor's care. He's very old and he's very frail and he's very skinny, but he's still beautiful and he's still...
It's better for him to stay home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's staying home and he's not...
Oh, I would never take Shazam on the set because Shazam was a very wild dog. As you know, the Filas were raised to protect their family. And Fila dogs are so protective that no one could go near us. Shazam would kill. He would get wild no matter... And we've had people tell us what to do. We brought him to a school and they said this breed of dog, the Brazilian Fila, was bred to protect the family.
And we also got him in Miami, and we think he was either a drug dog or a fighting dog because he had scars all over his face when we adopted him.
So he had a bad
early
He
life.
was a hard dog to raise.
When we have company, we have to put him lock him up in a room.
So after he was going to bite Brandy's head off, I said to my daughters, would you take care of Shazam? And they gladly, because they live together, my daughters, and they gladly took Shazam in their house.
And they'll just come here and live in our house while we're.
But
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'll be miserable without Astro. I mean, I will be.
He gets upset if we don't take him with us to the grocery.
No, it's true.
Now, that's a spoiled doggo. I mean, without a doubt. But we get like that. That's what's so great about our dogs. I mean, they bring out the best of who we are. They bring out our feelings, how we love, and how we take care of them. And that, when I talk to people who talk to their dogs, like listening to you talk about the dogs, you just know there's so much goodness in your heart. And I mean, even sometimes the grumpiest person, and when they talk about their light, they get a light in their face. And I don't want to sound trite, but it's delightful to see that, because that dog brings out the best of who they are.
Absolutely.
I agree. If we talk about Brandy, she will get up. She knows her name. And she knows what we're talking about. Like I'll say, Brandy, she's such a beautiful girl. Look at that pretty girl. And she gets all excited. And if I say to her, Brandy, stop licking. Why are they licking their paws? Somebody said too much starch.
Sometimes it could be, so especially in the hot summer months. I mean, do you walk the dogs at all, or do they go out on the grass?
We put them in the garden. It's too hot. We're in Palm Springs. It's 125. The pavement is.
We can't walk them. We have to put them in the backyard.
We carry them.
Okay.
Carry them all over.
So a lot of times it can be diet. A lot of times you can smell, if it smells like, people always say, like corn chips, like, remember Frito-Lay corn chips? Yes. Sometimes paws will smell like corn. It's yeast and fungus. So when I was just in Vegas, and I was working at Super Zoo, which is a big pet product show. You had asked earlier about what Super Zoo was. I saw one homeless man at the back of the airport on Sunset. I saw him every day, and it seemed like he was going for this endless walk with this old pit bull, and it was 100 degrees, whatever. And the dog had boots, but not aerated mesh boots, and he had like balloon latex boots on. And a lot of times, a lot of the people I saw who were walking their dogs even early in the morning had boots on because of the hot weather and the pavement. And a lot of times what happens is people need to clip the hair in between the toes, and also keep those feet really clean if dogs are wearing boots. And the reason is because dogs sweat through their paws. Yes. So the combination of the hot weather and the sweat produces fungus bacteria. And that's why sometimes they do get stinky. A lot of times it can have to do with diet too. I mean, it's the same thing. I have one dog, Hammy, and I'm changing his food because he stinks. I mean, I'll bathe him. He'll be fine for 2 days. Then he needs another bath. So I've just changed his food again because I think it's something about internals. So, and slowly but surely we're getting that under control. He's on a raw, freeze-dried diet now, and it's actually helping. Churchill can eat anything, you see. He's like sleeping. But, so that's one of the things. If you are going to walk your dog and it's hot, if you're living at, like, Vegas is an extreme weather area. Either it's cold at night in the desert, or it's
Palm Springs is the same climate.
Or it's like really hot. So one or the other. So aerated boots are the best. Aerated boots are boots that have maybe a tough sole or leather on the bottom, and they have mesh on top that forms that like black booty. Okay. Those are the best boots.
We let the kids go out on the shady side of the house, and there's grass there, and we let them make in the grass, and then of course we clean it up because we cannot walk them in the street.
We can walk them in October. We'll be able to walk them again, but right now,
or very late at night when the pavement's cool.
Right, and that's actually a good point that you brought. The best time to walk your dogs. I mean, you have to realize, and a lot of people don't realize that when you're so it's 100 degrees, but 100 degrees here pretty much every single day in the summer with that Florida humidity. And you guys know what that's like, right? It's horrible Florida humidity. So one of the things that happens here that we deal with is, even though I walk my dogs probably 5 or 6, I try to walk them either early that or I'll get them out like about 7:30. And one of the reasons I'm always careful at dawn and dusk is because guess what comes out at dawn and dusk? The mosquitoes. So it's really important to make sure your dog has that heartworm protection. And also you're wearing bug spray. Best to go with natural bug spray because you don't want your dog to lick your leg because you don't want them to ingest any of that DEET bug spray.
Also, the other thing you have to be careful of in Palm Springs, Astro could very easily be mistaken for a rabbit or a rodent, a rat. There are huge black birds. They have a 6-foot
They're like crows or something.
They have a 6-foot wingspan, and they feed in the early morning. And they have been known to come down and pick up people's poodles. They bring them very high up in the sky and drop them. And then when they hit the ground, of course, the dog dies. And then they go down and they take the flesh and bring it back to the nest to their children. So be very careful not to leave your dog unattended.
We go out with the dog.
Or keep them on a leash. God forbid it grabs the dog, they can't take the dog away because he's on a leash. We don't worry with Brandy because she's 35 pounds.
But Astro's only 7.
But Astro could be mistaken for a rabbit in a minute. And
no, I understand that because my dog Wally is just about 10 pounds. And I'm always really careful when I take them out in the yard because I usually walk them in the morning and the evening, like I said, but during the day when they have to go out, they run out in the yard and I go with them. And when I moved into this house, I made sure that there was, I dug trenches in the fencing because my neighbor has like really untrained 2 pit bulls and some other dog. They never leave that property. So I don't even know if they provide them with good vet care. So I think you have to be careful. It's the same thing with people leaving their keys in the car, running into a store with the air conditioning. I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, so many people have, you heard about people stealing cars with babies in the backseat. It's stealing cars with babies and dogs in the backseat. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people are lucky if that's what I always say. Just take the dog into the store or pick them up if someone tells you something. Don't be running errands with or chaining the dog. One of the big things, living in Little Italy, I lived on Broome Street. So people would go down to the Prince Street right at the back of the original St. Patrick's Cathedral and leave their dog chained up in front of the store. I mean, they would tie it. You can never be surprised when you come back and your dog's not there.
No, that's terrible.
People would do it all the time.
We have that problem with celebrity dogs because they are the target for kidnap and ransom.
Yeah, like Lady Gaga's dog.
Right, and ransom. So we know of another, I won't give the name, but we know of a very famous movie star person that we know whose dog was abducted and they wanted $5,000 and they would return the dog. Of course, he paid the $5,000 and the dog
was get the dog back?
Dead. They killed him.
Horrible.
So
I think in Lady Gaga's situation, it really had to do with the fact that they didn't know they were her dogs unless the dog walker was blabbing around the neighborhood. But I mean, look what happened to him. And then the case continued. I mean, I think the case just more or less ended about a month ago. The woman who was responsible, quote unquote, for returning the dogs was actually part of the conspiracy to kidnap the dogs. So she sued Lady Gaga for the ransom. I mean, what nerve, right? And then that was just unbelievable. It happens all the time. Actually, one of the, in April, if you have a French Bulldog out there and you go, like I said, it's easier to go to SoundCloud or iTunes. There's a French Bulldog segment I did because they're right now, after 31 years, the Labrador Retriever is no longer the most popular dog in the country. It's the French Bulldog. And a lot of people, why do people love French Bulldogs? My friend Stanley Coren, he writes for Psychology Today. He's a big dog person. He lives in Vancouver. And there's a status associated with the French Bulldog because so many people like Lady Gaga and Reese Witherspoon and Snoop, because of his relationship with Martha, now has a French Bulldog. So one of the things I cover on the show is not only buying a French Bulldog. I have a top breeder. She's on the board of the French Bulldog Club of America, Pat Sosa. I have a guy from the UK who's doing a lot of research on breeding the dogs. A lot of French Bulldogs, people buy them for $10,000, $20,000, and they're sick. They're dogs with a lot of problems. They find dogs because they want a certain type of status breed. They just want to see themselves with that dog. It's like back in the 80s, every secretary had to have a Louis Vuitton handbag, you know? But you don't realize. And then I had a good friend. He's the number one, Robert Siciliano. He's the number one security expert on Amazon selling books. And I talk about what to do if someone comes to try to kidnap your French bulldog. What do? You know, never try to jump in the car, because you probably will end up with broken legs and broken arms. And many people, there was a guy in New York who did. And then I have a vet, Dr. Jeff Werber. He's out in LA. And he talked about a lot of the French bulldog problems. I mean, I can name 30 things French bulldogs have. And then, you know, so you buy the dog and you have another 30,000 on top of the health.
We'll have to do this because we're out of time, because we have another guest coming on. But I'm going to tell everybody where to find you. So first
Charlotte,
of all,
you're terrific.
You guys follow at the Pet Buzz on Instagram. You also, real quick, you have a book, right? The Miss Fido Manners Complete Book of Dog Etiquette.
The Miss Fido Manners Complete Book of Dog Etiquette. It's still on Amazon. Actually, I think it costs more now than the book did when I published it. So thank you. Whatever. I'm working on another book now about pets and money, because I think it's a big thing right now. Everyone wants to make sure they can not only afford their pets, keep their pets, and have a few money-saving tips, which we all need right now. You guys, it's been great to actually spend time with you.
I'm going to invite you back. We need you again.
I would love that.
Because you really
I want to hear more about.
Follow me back on Instagram. I don't know if you did or not, but follow me back on Instagram so I can message you.
I believe that this show today has really helped a lot of people. And I'm so in favor of doing that, because you have the knowledge and I have the questions. And I think we made a good combination of you answering my questions. You certainly are a know-it-all broad when it comes to dogs and cats.
That's a compliment.
And that's a great.
I take it as a compliment. Take it as a compliment.
And I only look forward to one day to meet you so I could give you a big hug.
Absolutely.
Well, you'll be in New York soon.
Yes. Right? Yeah, you'll come out and visit us. Or we'll come into the city.
Will.
When you're there and we're there, we'll all go visit. So thank you so much.
Because you're terrific. And you do so much for animals.
Thank you very much.
I love people who love animals. If somebody doesn't like a dog, I don't like them. I avoid them. I think they're mean. There's something wrong with them.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Time to go. See ya.
Bye. All right, you guys, we're going to take a quick music break, and we're coming back with Summer, Helene, and Bear Fiorda. This is J-Caps. The name of the song is Cost Me. He's going to be a guest on the show soon. So check it out. Enjoy, and we'll be right back with Summer and Bear.
I was young, I was dumb, I thought money was so evil. Now you're tasting freedom, I relied on other people. Oh, silly me, penniless philosophy. I had no clue what it was gonna cost me. Yeah. Gonna cost me. 'Cause I had no clue what it was gonna cost me. Fresh up out the mama's house, I started cruising. Didn't realize it cost me losing. Yeah, I make dollars every time the phone rang. Thought it'd be enough, didn't know I needed change. I'd make it rain each night. I was so cool, didn't save a dime. I was so full, yeah, and I was brand new to it. Didn't realize I was blind, so stupid. How was I to know when I would never listen? I had to hit the bottom without a pot to piss in. I had to lose my whipping to get on my shit, get tripping. I can't just fantasize on the life I wanna be living. It was never gonna be given. That's just how I had to learn it. And now I know the truth that I gotta go out and earn it. I have my ups and downs. In the end, it's all progression. Took me long enough, but I finally learned my lesson. I was young, I was dumb. I thought money was so evil. Now you're tasting freedom. I relied on other people. Oh, silly me, penniless philosophy. I had no clue what it was gonna cost me. I was young, I was dumb. I thought money was so evil. Now you're tasting freedom. I relied on other people. Oh, silly me, penniless philosophy. I had no
guests.
Yay! All right, everybody, that was Jay Cap, and now we're going to bring on our next set of guests. Let them in, Juan.
Michael?
Yay! Your mic's not on. Your mic's not on, you guys. Hit the mic button.
How about now?
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, Summer Helene, and Bear Fiorda, hosts of Tune In Behind the Scenes, also on that's our same network that we're on. And they do a bunch of other stuff, and we're going to learn about it in a minute. But hello and welcome to the show.
What are you on, speed?
No. I like the last guest was fun. I like these two a lot, so it's fun.
It's a high energy intro. I like that.
No, that's great. Thank you for having us.
So how are you, my little beautiful girl? You have a little kitty cat hat on.
Yeah, I do. So I usually wear the kitty ears. He wears the bear ears, and unless he's live streaming, then he wears my kitty cat ears. His audience seems to like
a very beautiful couple. I said that at lunch. He's handsome and you're beautiful. And you're
thank you.
It's so nice to look at beautiful people. I enjoy it. I think all old people say that. I remember my grandmother used to say that in Italian. She used to say, I love to look at the young. You do. I guess I got old.
So you guys, let me tell you, so besides Tune In Behind the Scenes, Bear is a middleweight MMA fighter. You can follow him on Instagram. He's at Bear Fiorda. He's got over 1 million followers on Instagram, and he's very cool.
And he's a kickboxer.
No, that's not. He's an MMA fighter. That's not kickboxing. We kick in it, but it's not. Actually, okay, you tell him. Tell what MMA is.
I think we did this at lunch.
I know, but the world
To be fair, I do both. I've had kickboxing matches, I've had taekwondo fights, MMA fights. I've done everything that wasn't grappling. So I just
But I introduced him as an MMA fighter because
that's reasonable. That's my thing. I am mainly an MMA fighter. I'm allowed to hit people, kick them, choke them, whatever their kink is. It's okay.
At lunch, I asked him some really interesting questions. And one was, how come you're so handsome? You're not all fucked up. You don't have a broken face.
I've been fortunate enough to be pretty good at not getting hit.
You just blew my joke. I'm going to punch him. I said to him, how come you're so handsome? He said, because I've never let anybody hit me in the face. I remember that. See that? I remember that.
All right, so then you guys, they have a show on the network on Fridays. But Summer, tell us a little bit about you. So you've done a lot of things. I Googled you a little bit just to get some ideas. You were an actress. I know you've been in some horror movies. You were a Victoria's Secret model at 7. I think I read that when you were like 6 weeks old, you moved from America to Australia, and that's why you've got the Australian accent. And now you're called the Duchess of Hollywood. So just tell us a little about you and what you do.
The Duchess was polite. Variety called me the Wicked Witch of the West Coast.
You know what? Listen, Summer, do you know the movie star Betty Grable?
I do.
You look like Betty Grable.
Thank you.
Look at the picture.
I like Betty Grable very much.
You look like Betty Grable. I'm sitting here looking at you, saying to myself, holy crap, she looks like Betty Grable.
I like that. She's gorgeous. She was she was a pinup wartime 40s, like absolutely gorgeous, and she had that like perfect Coke bottle.
She had her legs insured for $1 million.
Yeah, she had her legs insured for $1 million.
By Lloyd's of London because her legs were so beautiful. But you do look like Betty Grable. It's amazing.
Also, you guys, we have a chat room with people in the chat room. Just say hi. Just say, hey, chat room.
Hi, chat room.
Hi, chat.
There you go.
We usually do live from Twitter on our show. So it's always a combination of like questions and dick pics. You having a chat room is a much better idea.
Okay, so now question. Did you get the engagement ring yet, or are you still wearing the cup?
No, I haven't.
The real deal?
But nobody's supposed to know that. It's really hard to sell him if they know he's dating someone.
What happened?
You can't, being a professional athlete, you can't have a girlfriend because if you have a girlfriend, people aren't as inclined to want to like all the. He loses his following, so he's not engaged.
I don't believe that.
They're just friends.
We're really good friends that sleep in the same bed.
That's right, and they host a show.
Actually, he's gay and he's engaged to me.
Perfect.
There you go, Jimmy. And someone,
You guys should actually too. You guys should follow him. You should follow Bear on TikTok, you guys, because he's got a huge following. But he does like instructional videos and help videos and all his MMA fighting. Actually, he fights out of a gym in Palm Springs, and it's like to help kids. I don't exactly know everything, but it's very good.
You fought in Palm Springs?
No, but he trains here.
Oh, because I want to come to one of your fights.
And so we'll make sure that happens.
We've got one coming up in San Diego.
So I could cheer you. I could cheer you on and yell, "Kill the bastard! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!"
I like that.
I have a deal with him anyway, because when we shoot our movie Death House, I told him he can come on the set.
As a guest?
He's going to come on the set as a guest to meet Mark Hamill.
Mark, right.
Because he likes that Star Wars stuff. And summer's coming
That's the best day.
Along.
I think I play Mark Hamill's father.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm his father in the film.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Are you going to do the line like from Star Wars? You
no
look
one's
at him
doing
and say, Mark,
I
am your father.
Oh my God.
No.
He won't even get that because he's not a Star Wars fan.
No, we have. This is a very, very multi-million-dollar movie, and it's a feature film going to theaters.
Oh, nice.
Which we can't fool around. It's verbatim. What the script says, we tell.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to put in if or it in there. So
he was making a joke though because
no, I know, but I want to make that clear to people listening to our show.
But the joke was, you should get it. So Luke Skywalker, if you're Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, and he was said, "I am your father," and you're playing Luke Skywalker's father. So are you going to do the line for Star Wars?
I will do it off camera.
Yes, for fun.
Perfect.
You should do it off camera. Get it on TikTok. You'll get a huge following.
Yes, when you're there,
I'll do it that way, but I'm not allowed to do it in the actual film.
I can say I've produced a lot of television shows and films over the years, and I'd kill you if it was my project and you took up that time. Like, I can tell you how much money
he would kill you, so she understands.
If I went off script,
yeah,
I
can tell.
I like to go off script because the little movies that I'm in, they're like a couple $100,000 films. The producers are lenient. And they always have me playing, as I've explained to you, a tough gangster from New York, Brooklyn, mafia Italian.
I can say that.
And they don't know their asses from their elbow. So when they write a script, they write, "I'm going to hurt you bad." Now, I've never heard anybody in the mafia say, "I'm going to hurt you bad," because they'd shoot them. Because they're Sissy Marys. So I would say that line's not going to fly. But what do you mean, Ron? What would you say? "I'm going to fucking kill you." They said, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah, they're looking at you going, "That's going to make us more money. Let's do that."
No, sometimes. Oh, fuck my phone. Sometimes you have to help the script along, and the writer has to understand if you have the knowledge of it. Like if I had to play an Englishman, get rid of whoever this is, the rudeness of this. Whoever you are, you know I'm on my show, you stupid bastard. You'll never call me back.
So I have a question just in general. First of all, how long have you been MMA fighting? And how long have you guys been not sleeping together?
I've been fighting since 2016. And we've been just friends since 2015.
He may use a picture of her in bra and panties to masturbate, but they don't actually have sex. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to.
No, I love it. So you've been
if I
MMA.
remember correctly, you have a nice set of jugs.
Yes, she does.
Thank you.
You have a big rack, baby.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Right?
I made a lot of money off the body. It was the legs and the butt that made me the most money, though.
So don't think he's not checking you out.
So wait, so you started fighting in 2016, and how long did it take to actually get like an actual professional MMA fight?
So it's not, in my case, it took me a little while, but people can have a professional fight right now. You guys, right now, you two can have a professional fight if the company will fight you.
He lost his first fight in 40 seconds.
He lost his first fight in 47 seconds?
That's true, but it's not relevant. as I was saying, you two fine gentlemen can have a fight right now if you want. You just have to go online, buy a license through California, and find a company who wants to fight you guys. It's super simple. You'll get fucked up immediately, but it's very easy to do it.
I see people and they do like backyard fights where they like put up a little ring in their backyard.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Shout out to Street Beefs. We're actually working with them. I'm doing a television show right now for Street Beefs. They do it on YouTube.
We're working with a company that actually kind of does that.
Yeah, we're working. So we really like them. I'm doing it.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I have to ask a question that I'm sure all of our audience wants to know. Do you win a purse or are you salaried?
So actually, the purse is determined based on the individual fight itself. Like if the person sells, for instance, a lot of tickets, they have a lot of people backing them, the company likes them, particularly they're a good fighter, they're exciting, they get a lot more money. If you're the exact opposite of that, you get dirt, pretty much nothing at all.
It helps. Money.
But are you ever salaried?
No, not salary. No, everyone's an independent contractor. Everyone.
They really take advantage of it.
Because I know a lot of people ask that question. A friend of mine in New York, we had an argument about that. And he said, no way, Gorgeous George used to give. I said, Gorgeous George was a fake wrestler. Gorgeous George was, I think, a hairdresser.
I don't even know who that is.
He was a fucking hairdresser who went in the ring.
Do you guys know who Gorgeous George is?
I've never heard of him in my life.
Heard of Gorgeous George?
I haven't.
Gorgeous George predates like Hulk Hogan and Randy Ruddy.
Yeah, he was the first faggot looking. He was like a queen, blonde hair and makeup and rhinestones. So everybody hated him because he was gay. Back in those days, gay people were hated. So nobody rooted for him. And when he used to get beat up, the audience went crazy. They said, kill that faggot, kill that fag, get that queer. It was that kind of thing.
Anyway, a lot of queer coding.
He was salaried. He was not a purse winner because he really never wrestled.
A lot of the WWE does salary now rather than
and I think he was in on. There was some kind of a scam about what was going on. I forgot what it was.
How many fights can you do in a year?
They have fights all over the country every weekend. Someone's doing a different fight. How big it is or how small it is kind of depends on how much money they're able to put into it at the time. Like the UFC can put millions of dollars into production, so they can have huge fights, but some local fights may be able to put in a couple of grand and hopefully some free labor. That's about it. But so every weekend there's a fight option.
So then do you have, because I mean it's expensive, you have to train, and like do you have like sponsors, or you look for sponsors to like sponsor you and hopefully they believe enough in you that they help you on the journey?
Oh yeah, you have to. And I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful manager who goes out and finds my sponsors for me, so I have one less thing to worry about. But a lot of these guys, they got to do it on their own. They're crafting emails, sending them out to hundreds of different companies, probably a day, if not in a week, and maybe getting one who says, yeah, we'll throw you $100, we'll throw you $500, throw you whatever it is to get on your shorts for that fight.
I'm not getting punched in the face for $100. Are you?
Yeah.
No.
You gotta love it. It's a passion. It's what it is.
And ruin this magnificent face. You gotta be out of your fucking mind. Listen, if you ate bad fish and you had diarrhea, a bad stomach, and you had to go in the ring and the guy is punching you in the belly and you make a duty, what would you do? It happens, right?
That happens when the guys do the weight cut.
From bad food in a fight.
It's not from bad food. They do weight cuts and they'll like take laxatives, and if it's not all out the system, there have been a lot of guys, if you Google it, MMA fighters have pooped themselves in the ring. It's a thing.
It's sadly a common occurrence. But if I had shot myself in the middle of a fight, I'd probably keep fighting and maybe try to use it to my advantage. I'd try and sit on his face at some point. Like maybe the ref won't notice it's happened yet. My shorts, when you see me fight, my shorts are pretty tight in the legs.
So you can hold it in.
Hold it in and then do.
I love it.
Sit on his face and gas him to
death. So now Summer, so when you met him before he became an MMA fighter. Like
no, they never met their friend. They're only friends.
I know, but they met as friends before.
Well, clarify that. They met as friends.
So what were you doing when you met him? Because we're not really talking
he
about.
He and I were making out, and she met him.
Exactly. So he was getting into MMA fighting. He would train with my brother occasionally. My brother was a kickboxer. Okay. And so they do that. I was going back and forth between LA and Palm Springs producing. I was working for a California
Why is your
over at
voice
Paramount.
I don't know, but
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm like, did I break it?
Stay in front of the mic.
Yeah, stay more closer.
Sorry. So I was working over at Paramount at that point, going back and forth between Palm Springs and Los Angeles. And we were like dating 6 months before I realized we were dating. That went well.
Oh, so you were dating.
But now they're just friends.
Now we're just friends. But I didn't realize we'd been dating like 6 months, and he's like, well, I'd like to be more serious. And I'm like,
are you going to name the baby after him?
How about we name it after you?
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
So wait, I have a question because I love fight movies. Like, have you ever seen the movie Best of the Best?
I have not seen the movie Best of the Best.
That's my favorite of all the fight movies. And then the next one is the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme where he goes into the pit and fights. I forgot the name of it.
Bloodsport.
Yes, Bloodsport. Those are my two favorites.
You know what, Bear? I'm not hitting on you, but you are so fucking handsome. It's amazing. I find he's extremely handsome and photogenic. And in person,
so is his friend.
And in person, he's even better looking in person, I think, than he is on screen. Have you ever thought of going into film as a kicker? In other words,
fight films.
Oh. I think you should get a manager that does that because you're good looking enough. You have a nice body. I remember that. And you're a great kicker. So
and those kickboxing movies do good.
Why don't you make a film career out of it? You could be as big as that Chinese guy or Japanese.
Jet Li.
Yeah, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, any one of them.
Any of those fellas. You never know.
He likes
I've definitely thought about it. It's definitely on the to-do list. It hasn't been my primary goal. I apparently like getting hit in the face more than staring at a camera, but
seriously, I'll make a promise to you, Bear.
Okay.
If a script comes our way and Jimmy's producing it, and they need a kicker that looks good,
kickboxer, a fighter, just really a fighter.
The correcting.
Well, it's not Dr. Seuss. A kicker's like somebody who's in a football team or something. Like
the people would. I can't. Shoot me. Stick a needle in my eye. Do anything. Get me out of this misery.
So then,
anyway, if ever they need your talent,
all right,
we will put you in. He will put you in the movie.
I love that, and it sounds perfect. Thank you. I'll try not to correct you too often.
I'm surprised no one grabbed you for the films because you're beautiful teeth.
We've tried. We've had people at events and red carpets. We've had people try and pick him up more than once. And
how about modeling products?
So he's got some modeling work. He's not interested in commercial. So if you guys can talk him into it, I am 100% behind that. Because I like his face.
You make a lot of money. Yeah, you can make a lot of money to help pay for everything.
You can make 10, 15, 20,000 for a couple of minutes work in a commercial. I did a commercial for erections. Yeah, I had to show them my erection in the commercial. And my line was, "Look at me, 83, and baby."
I think they put you in a porn.
Yeah, you might be.
Only a joke. Now the rumor's going to go around. Ron did a dick commercial.
No. So Summer, do you miss because you don't act anymore, right?
She should.
I got kind of popular in the horror genre. My scream is actually still used at Not Scary Farm. I started doing TV shows and things. I was involved in a bunch of Scream Queen things, and I got a really big following in that particular genre. And then I had some guy come up to me, grab me by the neck, and ask me to scream for him. And I was like, I can't handle the attention. There are some people that do.
Let her finish. He grabbed her around the neck, and she doesn't like the attention. So she's behind the scenes. She's not in the spotlight.
Why did he grab her
to hear her scream? Because she has a famous scream.
It's still, my scream is still used for Not Scary Farm.
But you should get paid for that.
I don't. Lloyd Kaufman does, but
Lloyd Kaufman was one of the very first guests of this show 16 years ago. Believe it or not,
he's
awesome.
Wonderful. I love Lloyd. I love his wife. I actually started with him when I was 16.
That's true.
And he's the one that got me the job as the assistant to the president of Paramount way back when I started doing this. I got behind the camera because I couldn't handle being in front of it. I started to get between the modeling and the acting. I started to kind of get popular. It was at the beginning of like Facebook and all of that. So I had this big following coming on Facebook and Instagram, and I couldn't hack it. Like it is a very specific skill set of people to be in front of the camera, to be touched, to take photos with people. I respect the hell out of him for having it. I don't like people touching me. I don't like people coming up to me. I find it invasive. And I don't think people should be in the spotlight if they can't handle it. So I love Hollywood. I stayed in it.
I actually know a lot of people like that.
My daughter, Leslie, is an extremely gorgeous girl. She's a Grace Kelly, Michelle Pfeiffer lookalike. She was Miss America and all those bullshit. Miss New York, Miss Everybody. Mm-hmm. And Chris Makos was doing a layout for her on a cover. And for 3 hours, she had to sit on a stool, and they were putting each hair in the makeup. And my daughter got off the stool, and she said, "Goodbye, boys." And she never would go back. And they wanted her to make movies and stuff. She was that beautiful. Yeah. And my daughter said, "Not for me." So there are just some people who are not interested. Now, it brings me. We have a very wonderful fan of ours, a big fan for years, and he lives in England. He's a dirty old man pervert.
Oh, he's not around anymore.
No. Did he die?
Oh.
Yeah. He didn't die. He's just not around anymore.
Why? He loves
it. We talk about it on the air. It's not something we talk about on the air.
But he loves us. I was going to ask her to move back a little bit and make him happy.
Oh. There we go. We can do that anyway.
Because every time we had a beautiful blonde on Built, he would go nuts and send us all kinds of stuff in the chat room. And he was a crazy old guy. What? He didn't die, did he?
No, he didn't die. Everything's fine.
He loves me. We're best friends.
Not anymore, you're not.
We're not?
No.
Oh.
Who screwed that up?
You did.
I did?
Well, all of us did.
Why?
Because he came on in the chat room and said, how he supports us, but we don't ever go watch any of his shows or do any of his things, and that we're assholes. And
I didn't know he had a show.
Well, you don't read your emails and your text messages. No, why don't read it. So anyway.
Yesterday I had 330-something emails. I'm going to read them all. What are you, on drugs?
If you read them every day, it does, little by little, you work it down.
No, I can get 300 and I can get 150 in a day.
They all know.
Oh, Jesus.
And the chat room.
See, now tomorrow, Thursday, I dread Thursday. If I go on my computer tomorrow, every moron, mental case, or wonderful fan will be there commenting on my hair, my face, do I wear makeup, how tall am I, you stink, you're vulgar.
So wait, let's go. Hold on.
If they say you're vulgar, tell them to go fuck themselves.
We do that all the time.
I do.
We do that. I had a big thing on. So let's talk about your show real quick, because that's one thing that you are in front of the camera. Everybody sees you, so you're okay with it there.
Kind of. So when I quit, social media wasn't as big as it is. Now that I'm into media strategy, I have to be back in front of the camera, and I have like 47 active restraining orders. I have one guy that God told him we were supposed to be together. So I quit acting, which I loved, for absolutely no fucking reason in the end. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Summer, I want to interrupt her. Summer, I can't even sit here and listen to that bullshit. You are so beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Get over it. Guys are going to hit on you when they see those tits and that face. If the guy's got a little bit of life left in him, he's going to hit on you.
The hitting on, I don't mind. The stalking is the problem.
Even the stalking.
It's dangerous.
No, it's not. It's complimentary. I had some guy that No, I had a guy.
No, do you have stalkers really No, she's talking about stalkers with knives and guns and shit.
I had a stalker with a dick this big, and he sent me a picture of his heart. And he told me what he wanted to do with it. You know what I did? I wrote back. I said, "Does your mother enjoy it when you do that to her?" I never heard from him again.
I like that.
That's what you have to do.
I started with the penises. I started a redistribution plan. Every time a guy sends me a picture of his junk and is like, "Hey, how do you like this?" I sent him the picture of the last guy that sent me his junk and said, "I don't know, how do you like mine?" So that's what I started doing.
How does your mother like something?
I like that. I'm going with that.
So you guys have a show though now, and you've had it.
But you are beautiful.
Of course,
look at her. Betty Grable, no bullshit. You could do a life story.
So your show is Tune In Behind the Scenes, dive into the unfiltered reality behind your favorite influencers and celebs. So how did you come up with like what you were going to do your show about?
So we were on Voice America and Sirius XM for years and years and years. I think I've been on air for like 12 years. We ended up just shifting networks recently, and I was kind of forced into it. Years ago, a friend of mine had been doing a spot on a different network and got sick, asked me to fill in for him that day. And then they offered me a show. That's how that started. And then it just bounced. We bounced to networks.
It used to be just audio. Now the video is attached to everything. So now,
Right.
Yep.
And when it's audio, it's easy to do because nobody knows what you look like.
Did you get 1.1 billion downloads?
I didn't. You did a hell of a lot better than
Congratulations
we
on
did.
YouTube
Congrats,
doing that,
That
though.
is amazing. How did you? So I'm curious. How did you do that?
I do a lot of nudes.
That'll do it.
Jim and I have sex naked, and they photograph.
Yeah, right.
And that's
Wait,
why.
as opposed to clothed?
Well,
You know, the reason why we do it naked is so that if anybody has to throw up, they can vomit and feel better afterwards.
Lose weight. They lose weight when they watch.
Yeah. So we're there to make people
we've been on the air for a long time. They didn't even have a thing called a podcast when we started. You know, we've been on the same network for 16 years.
Right.
We do a lot of press and a lot of advertisement. I have a big social media
And if it
following.
wasn't for me, the show wouldn't be today.
Of course.
Because Jimmy had me on the radio. I said, no, I'm not radio. I'm a stand-up comic. Don't shake the camera, baby.
Okay.
Don't you fucking put off the stand. It was like a child. It's like my college.
No, I
kid.
can't move my foot right now.
I
It's not
said,
moving.
no one was doing podcasts. Only a news commentator had a screen behind him where he would show.
Nobody was doing video, he means.
Where he would show the event that he was talking about.
We started it first, and it was
We're
his
in the
idea.
car driving, and I said to him, we've got to go television. He went nuts on me. Don't try to change my show. I said, it's not a success. You got 63 people watching.
No, you don't.
Whatever you had, 10, 15, 30,
Yeah,
120.
we had 1.5 million people a week.
Anyway, I said, we've got to have camera. We've got to do it this way. And we were actually the first, whatever the fuck we are, that did it this way. And that's
After we did it, Ellen started doing it. Everybody started doing it after we did it.
doing it. So that's why we made that wonderful 1.1.
That was a big transition.
billion.
So, but we actually get more plays in audio than we do in video.
Because we were the first people to do this kind of nonsense. And of course, Jimmy said to me, you're a bit wild. I said, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby. I don't hold back. I don't.
Neither do they on their show.
Well,
actually, he should do your show because
I'd love to have him on.
Oh, it'd be brilliant.
You had this boring son of a bitch on.
I'm not boring, but I just
what
know
do you
different
talk about?
things.
What is Jimmy? Jimmy is wonderful. My husband, I would kill for him. Maybe I would give him up for him. But I would kill for Jimmy. I love him so much.
They told him that they said that my shows that their audience loved me on their show.
They did. A lot of our audience started going over to you guys.
What do you have? You'll show like Braille?
Braille?
No, we have about 6.5 million listeners. We talk exclusively about what goes on in Hollywood, celebrity stuff, MMA.
And I know that stuff. And MMA, which I'm learning a little bit more about since we become
nobody
friends.
knows Hollywood like I do.
Then we're having you on the show.
Talking about 50-year-old Hollywood.
Fuck you.
She's talking about now Hollywood.
I'm talking about
Do you know who Logan Paul is?
Do you know that Angelina Jolie is my buddy?
She used to be.
She still is. I offered her a peanut butter sandwich. She'd come to my house in a minute. I used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for Angelina Jolie. She grew up playing with my daughter Deirdre. We lived on Spalding, and we went to the high school, the elementary school, El Rodeo. And both my children, and Deirdre is Angie's age, and they grew up together, always in trouble. I had to go up to the school all the time with John Voight. The two of us were like the team, John and I. They were the menace of the school.
So wait, I have a question. Let's go back to you guys.
I could talk about people today.
I'm invested in that story.
Me too. We're having you on the show, and we're doing it.
All right.
It's fun when we go do shows and we're not together because we get to talk about what we are interested in.
I love Angie. Angie moved to New York, and so did we. And we saw Angie in New York. And Deirdre was so excited. Well, Deirdre is 14 and Angie is 14. And Deirdre looked like an ironing board or a pole. No tits, no hips, nothing. A skinny blink, 7 feet tall. We go in and we see Angie. Out comes the lips, the tits, the ass, the hips. This sexy, magnificent creature at 14. So for anybody out there that thinks her lips are fake, her tits are fake, or her hips are fake, her ass, no way. Angie Voight, I call it. What is her real name? Angie Jolie. Is 100% real. And one of the nicest people you ever want to know. She's got a heart of gold.
Wait, go back to that. I want to know. So let's talk. So what are some of the big celebrities right now that you guys have been talking about in general?
Mostly
we've been a lot of recently been covering different stories as far as influencers and social media, because that's what's been kind of on the forefront of everything. So I think last week we were talking about the likes of Logan Paul and what
his brother Jake the Raper.
Jake and the Prime company that Logan started, and a little bit of controversy there between them having some what the kids nowadays call beef, and they want to fight each other on this podcast.
Which is all bullshit. They're just trying to make money.
I'm sure it is.
So we talk about that, the strike. We talk about a lot of how to get big on social media. Really a big part of the focus was like Helene Ballinger. She's the one, the toxic gossip train. She grooms a bunch of kids and does a public apology where she comes out with a ukulele and sings a song.
It wasn't an apology. It was her blaming everyone else for calling her out on being a pedophile.
Yeah, that went well.
That's our job. That's what we do.
Yeah, so we
you guys have a lot more fun on your show.
we mostly talk about.
Hang on,
I didn't get it.
No, they talk about they talk. They don't. Their show's not just entertainment oriented. Like when I was on the show, we were talking about who's a pedophile in Hollywood, and we were talking
what
about
kind of thing is
like,
that to talk about?
Because it's a reality. It's like a real show. Reality.
You know something? 100 years ago, when I was a young fellow, I met Rock Hudson. Okay?
Do you guys know who Rock Hudson is?
Yes.
She does. I don't.
Okay.
And I knew he was gay.
Everyone knew he was gay.
No one knew.
Really?
Oh, no. Rock Hudson was the butchest man. He was the man's man of men.
You got 2 minutes, so.
Okay. And I never squealed on him. I dated an actor who was a friend of his, a very famous actor, and he was gay. We all knew, but nobody spoke. So if a person was a pedophile, we didn't like it, but we never advertised it. We had that kind of respect for the person. You can kill a career by spreading a rumor. So we were raised in my day to keep your fucking mouth shut. I knew the dykes. I knew all the lesbians that were eating each other in Hollywood. I mean, one time gonorrhea, somebody had it, and the word went out to all the actors: "Be careful, gonorrhea's on the loose."
Hang on, go, Summer. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, actually, it's still that way a lot. I've dated NFL players. I've dated boxers simply because they were gay and didn't want to come out. Like half of my career is being a professional beard. It's still a problem.
Well, no, tell people what a professional beard is. We only have like 2 minutes.
Professional beard. The joke of it is I tended to date a lot of the gay guys that weren't able to come out or still won't come out simply because I wanted them to have someone and they wanted someone they could trust that wouldn't out them. So that's still something that happens.
You made him look straight.
I made him look straight.
It's crazy. But I have news for you. A lot of people, when they found out Rock Hudson was gay and had AIDS, they all disliked him and were no longer his fan. Because they pictured why you get AIDS. Bottoms get AIDS. Tops get AIDS. So
they said
that big 6'4" butch guy was getting banged up the butt.
They said Luke Evans, who's my favorite actor, huge crush on him.
Every time he's on the show, I love him.
I freaking love him. Well, they didn't want to give him the lead in Dracula Untold because they were afraid that for some reason him being gay meant that female fans wouldn't follow him. And of course, it's Luke Evans. Like, are you fucking crazy? Girls are going to throw him off a cliff. I'll be the lead.
I love Luke Evans. He's fantastic. Wait, we only got minutes, so we got to go.
I'm gay, but I don't play gay in movies.
I'm just saying, they gave him shit about it. They still don't want to put him in the lead a lot of the time. Same with Zachary Quinto.
It's ridiculous. I watched a horror movie that he was the lead in recently, where he like kidnapped girls and like raped them and tortured them. He was totally believable. You would never have any idea that he wasn't
The
straight.
only way they could ever find out that I was gay was if I was in a movie with him and we started making out. You know,
Yes.
We got to go. So wait, where do we?
I would have to contain myself because he's so cute.
Where do we send people? You guys follow. You can follow them on Instagram. It's at TuneIn BTS, which is their show.
Mm-hmm.
Bear is at Bear Fiorda, Fiorda. Summer is I am Summer Helene, but she doesn't do a whole lot on her.
I do nothing. Actually, I just lost mine. Someone took Summer Helene, so I have nothing. I'm trying to fight for that back. So I think my new one is Someone Took Summer Helene. That might be my new Instagram. Like, I'm pissed on Instagram.
That's a great name.
TikTok, you guys. He's got over 1 million followers. He's great.
And kids, we owe you a lunch, so let's do
Love
it.
to meet with you.
I love free food.
Lunch last time.
So we'll take you.
Now we'll reciprocate because I believe in reciprocation. I'm not of the new breed of people.
All right, you guys, we have to go. You guys tune in behind the scenes Fridays at 12 o'clock Pacific time. Is that right?
That is correct.
I think so.
There you go. All right.
Let us know when you're in town or
They are here, I think.
you're in Palm now.
I think we're in Palm Springs now. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk.
We'll talk after the show.
All right, bye, you guys.
sir.
Later.
Take care.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Be Claudia and Don, thank you so much for doing all the different wonderful things. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend, everybody. Sorry we're late. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Can turn out to be so wrong. Yeah, we in the mix. Yeah, we in the mix. It's another episode. Here we go. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Interviewing the hottest, newest, and truest of today's celebrities. Make sure to subscribe so you can get notified weekly. Jimmy Star, he's the king of cool. Ron Russell, he's a gorgeous dude. Chat room is live and you would be a fool not to vibe with us at the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Come watch it live on W4CY Radio. Miss some past episodes? Download on iTunes. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. It's the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.